Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and today I'm going to show you how I created this beautiful but simple layered flower card, because if I can make it, you can too. If you're ready to dive into creating this card, do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like button, hit subscribe and the bell to be notified every single time I do a new video. To start off today's card, I'm starting off with a card panel that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, cut from some heavyweight Michaels cardstock. This is the 110 pound that I usually use. That's a 300 GSM. I really like that it's a heavier weight, and it seems to work well for most of the cards that I make. I'm also using the Hampton Arts Layer Flower Happy stamp set, and I'm using Altenew inks. For the inks, first off, I'm going to be stamping out the flower. And for the base layer, because this is a layering stamp set, I'm using the color Blush. Looking at this, you could hardly see it, but it really did add some good highlight to the flowers. One trick that I had seen, I think it was Jennifer McGuire, using the transparent stamp sheet that's got all of the images printed on there, gives you an idea of how to line up your stamp when you're going over on these layering stamps. I know on my recent videos I had a lot of folks say that they were having trouble with layering stamps. The big thing is, so am I. I am still learning, and you can see I'm kind of moving around on this. What's funny is that this specific design, after doing this card, I did get an order from a friend of mine for a bunch of cards that she wanted to send out to some of her customers. She's a realtor, and this was the design I picked. So a little bit of practice and they turn out absolutely beautiful. So the second layer that I use there is called Rouge, again from Altenew, and then the final layer I'm putting down is in the color Velvet. It's a darker, almost red, kind of a red burgundy color, but I thought that that worked well with these other pink colors. And just lining it up, just like I said, I used that transparency sheet so I would be able to line it up in the right place, because it would kind of look weird, stamped the wrong direction. And that turned out just perfect. You can see the highlights, you can see the depth of color on some other parts. And then I just went ahead and was going to add the stem to it. And because I'm not real good with these stamps yet, I went ahead and I just masked off part of the flower where I wanted the stem to go, because I didn't want the green to be mixed in with the pinks. And it worked out great. With a little more practice, I was able to do it without doing the masking, but for this first card and for this initial design, it worked out fantastic. I'm going to add a second leaf to that, and the color I'm using, again in Altenew inks, for the base layer is called Greenfield. So I'll go ahead and stamp that second leaf. And I'm kind of fussing around. I just can't seem to figure out exactly where I want it to go. There we go. Next I'm going to use the detailed stamps for these leaves. They have all the little veins and lines on there, so you can give your leaves some real nice definition. A layer, I'm going to be using the color Mountain Pine. It's a nice dark green. So next I'm taking one of my sentiments from that same stamp set, and again in that velvet color I'm just adding that, and this one I'm going to have is saying thanks friend. You never can have too many thank you cards, and I just thought that that was so appropriate for this pretty little flower. So now I'm going to take my Hero Arts nesting circle infinity dies, and when I first got these I didn't take them apart, so I just cut a bunch of circles out just all in one, and these put a really thin frame. It's only like 1/8 of an inch wide, and I think this is just beautiful. Well, I decided I didn't like the black, so I'm going to go ahead and run it through again because I had not separated those circles yet. Run it through with some red because I thought that would look really nice with that flower. So I'm going to run that through with my my Gemini Junior. And there you see it pulls out a bunch of little circles for me to use for a lot of different projects, and this one that was the largest is the perfect size to go around that flower. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut that card panel again in that same circle, so I can just use the red circle to go around it. I'm going to run that through my Gemini Junior as well. I took this piece of scrapbook paper out of my stash. I mean, everybody's got a bit of paper just lying around that we need to go ahead and use up. And I am trying to use up my stash as well as use up some of my stamps and dies that I haven't used in a while. So I'm taking my Hero Arts in Nesting Rectangle Infinity die and using I believe it was the next to largest, so it'll basically make a panel that is slightly smaller than an A2 size card. And then I'm going to run that through my Gemini Junior. Well, this Gemini Junior works. I also have a big kick, and it's basically in another room. I have to get up and stand over the machine to use it. This little guy sits on the corner of my desk. I don't have to get up. I just throw stuff through there whenever I'm ready to die cut anything, and it does a great job. So this is the panel that I'm going to be using, and I decided I know that the circle that's got the flower on it is a little bit big, but I figure I'm going to just have it hang off slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my Dotliner adhesive and go ahead and adhere that panel on to an A2 size card base. Those measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And now that I've got that on there, I can go ahead and take my focal image and again adhere it with that same Dotliner adhesive and go ahead and get that positioned on the front. And I'm trying to decide exactly how far off the edge I want it to go. The only real important part was just making sure that the thanks friends was in the right spot. And now I'm going to just use my art glitter glue and adhere that red frame that I made out of the Circle Infinity dies. I'm going to go ahead and just adhere that down around that my main focal image. And with art glitter glue you really don't need much, just dotting around should be enough. And it stays wet. It does dry pretty fast, but it stays wet long enough so that you can usually get things in place pretty well. Most liquid adhesives do. So there we go with that. And then all that's left is just to trim off. Oh, correction. I changed my mind about the positioning of the focal image, so I did have to pull that off and put it back on. That's one reason why it's nice to use Dotliner adhesive. It holds well, but you're still able to remove it for just a little bit before it really dries well. So that finishes up this card for today. You'll find a list of all the products that I used today down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Here's a couple more videos that I think you might like. And until next time, keep crafting. If I can make it, you can too. Have a great day. Bye.